Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome. And I am the Realist philosopher. So I hope you're all doing good,
Okay.
fine, and well. Doing all right. I might have to leave the show here in a sec. My neighbor's letting their dog run around outside my window. So I might have to go ask them to please take it inside. It's bothering me. The timing sucks. I don't know what it is with people these days. It's illegal to let your dog run around without a leash. I don't know what that's about. You'll hear it barking, I'm sure. You're going to have to forgive my late start. It's because I was out there trying to look for the source of the noise, which is, of course, this freaking dog running around barking. Tiny little thing. Kind of hard to see, but very loud. Isn't that interesting? It's always the smallest dogs that have the biggest bark. You ever notice how big dogs tend not to bark very much, but small ones, yeah, they bark a lot. A lot. I'm thinking, anybody out there let me know if there's like a moratorium on evictions? This community seems to have gotten much worse in the past, you know, 6, 8 months. I'll have to do some research into that. I think maybe it's because these people can't be evicted, and so they just act stupid. I'm not sure. It doesn't affect me because I actually pay my rent. I have to do some research into that. I don't know. I mean, it would explain a lot. That's for sure. Anyway, hope somebody's out there. Yeah, we got a few viewers. All right. Feel free to comment in the chat. It's not very difficult to sign up for DLive, and I don't require email verification to comment in my chat section, so feel free to post comments. This is the Start a Show Monologue, where you're pretty much allowed to discuss whatever you like, so it's wide open. Once enough people show up, I will get to the first story. And if nobody comments, well, it'll be a very short monologue then. Length of monologue is all about how many people show up and interact with myself. Again, sorry for the late start. This community, God. I've thought about moving. I mean, I'm planning on just leaving America entirely. So that's moving, all right. That's a move. So it would be kind of silly to look for another apartment here in America when within the next minimum, well, maximum, really 6 months, I'll be probably moving out of the country. So, yeah, it'd be silly to go through the effort to move and find a new place. Oh, boy. I don't know. I feel kind of trapped since I'm going to be leaving. I can't move really to another place. I'm kind of stuck here until I set things up for a move overseas. Oh, boy. Mainly because of what's happening in America. Elected Beijing out to lunch Biden. Yeah, he's going to sell out the country. He's already passed a bunch of executive orders on day one, or at least he said he would. Wants to make all the illegal aliens legal, give them all amnesty, pull a Ronald Reagan on them, on all of us. That's a great fucking idea. Yeah, way to go, Beijing, Biden. God. I mean, it probably won't happen, you know. It might not get through the Senate even. I don't know. Can he even do that? Man, these executive orders are going to get overturned in massive numbers. But he'll look like a hero. He'll look like a champ. Not that he has to worry about re-election. I don't think he'll live through his first term, to be completely honest. He's already halfway in the grave. He's already got one foot in the coffin as it is. So I don't think he'll make it. We'll have camel toe Harris for the last 2, 3 years of his presidency. That's just lovely. Sebastian G is in the house. Hello, Sebastian G. It's like a prison without walls and cells. Everyone is prisoner, their own guards, no escape. Oh, man. Yeah. Let me check and see if there... You know, I should have looked this up. Let me see if there is a moratorium on evictions. Is there a moratorium... on eviction? Evictions moratorium on evictions. in the USA. That would explain a lot. Temporary halt to evictions. And of course, Biden said he's going to extend that. Isn't that just lovely? That's just lovely. You're screwing all the landowners, all the landlords, anyway. So, let me see. Supplementary. Wow, it's a little long. Okay, I don't know. So the answer seems to be yes. September 4th, 2020. So it could still be in effect. Most evictions are now banned in the U.S. September 8th. Oh, my God. Well, that explains a lot. That explains a lot. People have no fear of being evicted, so they're acting stupid. You know. Meanwhile, like the idiot that I am, I'm paying my rent because I don't want to fuck up my credit. I'm such a sucker. I pay my rent on a monthly basis. What a sucker I am. So the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention made it illegal for landlords across the U.S. to evict tenants who can't afford to pay their rent. Well, that's nice. Yeah, you put them out of work. Yeah, sure. Making it possible for the landlord to kick them out. That's lovely. Oh, man. Talk about incentivizing bad behavior. Who's eligible? You need to attest on a declaration form, probably something you can download and print at home or at the local library if you don't have a printer, that you expect to earn less than $99,000 a year in 2020. I'm guessing nobody in my community makes that much. For couples, it's less than $198,000. That you have received a stimulus check or that you weren't required to pay income taxes in 2019. That's interesting. So I just have to attest that I received a stimulus check. Wouldn't that be a good thing? Wouldn't that mean I had more money and they could then pay my rent? That's interesting. You'll need to confirm that you try to get any available government housing assistance, that you're unable to make rent due to substantial loss of household income. Well, unless you're in a field that has been deemed necessary, essential by the state, I guess that's the case. A layoff or extraordinary out-of-pocket medical expenses to being evicted will require you to double up with others or become homeless, and that you promise to make partial payments to the best of your ability. So the best of your ability could be zero. Doesn't appear that documentation will be required. Oh, really? Wow. Those are some pretty loose standards. It always amazes me how lazy people are until it comes to them getting something for free. Then they suddenly become miracle workers at producing all the required paperwork in triplicate. If renters meet the above requirements, they'll have to sign a declaration form and give it to their landlord. That's it? You just sign a single form that you can probably download off the internet. That's great. You should try to give the form to your landlord in person. Make sure to keep a copy for yourself. Guess I should do that. Nah, this would be a lie. I can pay. If a tenant cannot pay the rent, they should provide a declaration to their property owner as soon as possible. What if the landlord ignores it? Well, seek legal help, it says, which I'm sure the state would pay for. Wow. Okay. So, yeah. Wow. All right. So there is a moratorium on evictions if you do the laborious paperwork of signing a single form. That's great. Wow. You just check a box, sign a form, check the I'm unable to pay box, and sign it, and then give it to your landlord. That's nice. Wow. What a world we're living in right now. What a wonderful world. Oh, man. Sebastian G says, I talked to one American, and he told me that a lot of people don't pay their rent because they know they will not get evicted. I think that's what's happening here. I think it also explains the bad behavior because they know they won't get evicted. Mass evictions coming? I doubt it. They will extend the moratorium. Yeah, Biden's already doing that. He's already said that he plans to pass an executive order extending the moratorium on rent. I don't know how long he's going to extend it to. I think at least till September, though. Sebastian G says, then they'll have to introduce basic income. Yeah. This country's going to become such a hellhole. The whole country, this whole new America. Rebuild better, says who, motherfucker? Lazy scumbags out there that don't want to work and don't want to be held accountable for their actions. Yeah, for them it's better. For me, not so much. Accountability's out the window now. Oh, you don't want to pay your rent? Well, doesn't matter. Then your landlord will just have to default on their mortgage. Then the bank will own it, and then the bank will sell it to the state at a reduced cost. And then the state will own the housing. That's their plan. That's their plan, I think, to bankrupt as many small, independent landlords as possible, the same way they're trying to bankrupt as many small businesses as possible, so that the only businesses left will be a handful of big corporations that are in bed with the government. We don't want you to have any options in regards to your private transactions. And thereby we control you through the corporations. Oh yeah, we can't technically tell you to wear a mask, but we can work with the big corporations and tell them not to give you any services, let you in unless you have a mask on. And if there's no small businesses left, well, it's all big corporations. So the big government still controls you, just using big corporations by proxy. Sebastian G. The American dream is dead. Nobody wants to improve. Flossie Woo is in the house. Hello, Flossie Woo. Hello, Mr. Philosopher. Well, nice to see a new face. Well, old face, I mean. Flossie was a long-time viewer. I'm at the end of my rope. Oh, man. Just can't seem to find any peace here anymore. The amount of noise I have to deal with these days, it's driving me nuts. Why can't these people be quiet? It's a hallmark of low IQ people. They tend to make a lot of noise. I don't know why. It just seems to be a hallmark. I guess it has to do with lack of critical thinking to a certain extent. You know, I guess your thinking doesn't reach a high enough plane where you're actually taking into consideration the thoughts and feelings of others. I suppose a lack of empathy is involved with lower IQ individuals. They really don't seem to realize how their actions affect others. Seems to be a clear lack of abstract thinking. Or just the ability to use their imagination. Sith is in the house. Hello, Sith. Sith says hello, sir. Flossie Woo just donated a diamond and 5 ice cream. Thank you very much, Flossie Woo. Greatly appreciated. I spilled a little water there. Oh, boy. Says, so now Biden is president. He's not my president. What are we talking about? I was just talking about my neighbors. These new people moved in next door. So after months and months and months of construction and being woken up every morning by hammering and pounding, now I have throughout the entire day I have to listen to, when I'm home, these people making tons of noise. They let their little dog out without a leash, so it runs around the area in front of my door and window and barks at anybody that passes. They leave their door open so the dog just wanders in and out, no leash. Of course, they stand outside and smoke because there's no smoking in the apartments and make bunches and bunches of noise. So it's become ghettoized. And since there's that moratorium on evictions, and all you have to do is print up a fucking form, and then you can avoid paying rent, well, no documentation required. It's become a fucking ghetto. This place has become a ghetto. People move in, but they don't move out. Yeah. They don't have to. And there's no accountability. They can act like the biggest assholes on the planet. Oh, well, can't evict them. Dominicans or something. I just saw the one guy, some skinny, they looked like maybe 130 pounds at most, some skinny black dude with dreadlocks. But he was speaking Somali or something. So, there you go. Yeah. Says it's ready for Mexicanos to be real Americans. Yeah, it's not going to happen. He can pass whatever executive order he wants. It'll get shot down in court. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Says that evictions are of the past, sir. Yeah. Sebastian G. Fight fire with fire. Play some loud heavy metal. No, I don't want. No, that just escalates things. You know, I don't feel like, no. I can't live like that. These people don't work that way. They'll fist fight you or slash your tires. You see, this is not how these people work. These people work in very passive-aggressive manners. If you do that, they'll escalate and slash your tires. And then what do? I'm going to slash their tires? Get out of here. Dude, no. No, you don't want to get into feuds with your neighbors, okay? This is where I live. That'll work away from your home, okay? But maybe. But don't. If you're at a fucking protest or something and somebody tries to whack you in the head and you whack them in the head, okay. But you don't tell the person whose head you whacked where you live, all right? You don't want to bring that stuff home with you. Flossie Wu, do you think they will go after Trump to make an example of him to anyone else who stands up against the Marxists? Well, they already are, aren't they? They're still trying to impeach him. Isn't he out of office? What's the point of impeaching him? He's not in office anymore. The point of impeachment is to get him out. He's already out. I don't know what you mean by go after, Flossie Wu. You've always used the loosest language. One of your big problems, Flossie Wu, is you tend to be very nonspecific in your speaking. If what you mean by go after him is continue to castigate him in the media for years to come, absolutely. They're going to talk shit about him. They're going to talk shit about him for the next 4 years as a distraction from Biden. They don't want to focus on Biden, you see, because he's a clusterfuck. They're going to do as much as they possibly can to talk as little about Biden as possible. They're going to try to continue talking about Trump to keep their ratings up. Hopefully he stays out of the limelight. I don't know. I kind of doubt it. He's got plans to start his own new party. He's got plans to start a new social media platform, from what I've heard. He's got plans to start his own news network, from what I've heard. And I mean, if Oprah, big fat Oprah, who's poorer than Trump, can start her own TV station, I think Trump could do that as well. So I don't see him leaving the headlines anytime soon. Of course, when they do talk about Biden, it'll just be, his dogs and how much he likes ice cream. And if he ever appears on TV, it'll be very rarely and unlikely to be live, because he doesn't do too well live. Mostly pre-recorded stuff, I'm sure. Sebastian, she says, you want to move anyway? Yeah, I want to move. Yeah, but I don't want to be here until then. That's the issue. And before I move, I got to sell my car, but before I sell my car, I have to replace the clock spring and the catalytic converter, one of them. That's a big pain, though, because just the other night I got harassed by a security guard for working on my car. I was like, you can't work on your car. I live here, I pay rent here, but I'm not allowed to work on my car here? No. What am I allowed to do? You're allowed to go to your little cell unit that you pay for, and that's it. Oh, that's great. Gee, thank you. Maybe he only comes at night, though. Maybe I'll try to do something like that on a Sunday when the office is closed, the property management office, and then I can just, park it in the back and try to be, covert about changing it out. It's a real pain, though. Why should I have to be sneaking around to work on my own fucking car? I'm thinking to myself, well, I could buy a house, yeah, but I don't want to stay here. I don't want to tie myself to this country. I really don't. It's just becoming a shit show, and I think it's beyond the point of no return. I really do. I mean, the policies that Biden wants to implement, a lot of which he's going to get away with because he got a lot of rhinos in office that won't challenge him. And the Democrats, they love him because they all work for the same masters, the same puppeteers. So a lot of the shit he wants is going to get put through. Now, of course, there are some Republican congressmen and senators that will challenge him in court. And a lot of his executive orders will get cast out, but not all of them. Some will survive. Some will make it through because of activist judges. Or they may not be challenged, some of them, by Republicans. So I think it's going to be a long, cold winter. And, of course, when his presidency's over, what's going to happen? I love how people think that, the Congress is going to get flipped in 2022. Well, the people are going to come out, and they're going to show their solidarity with the Republicans and with Trump and populism, and they're going to vote in a bunch of real Republicans, real conservatives in 2022. How do you figure that's going to happen? They cheated in Georgia. Georgia did not elect 2 Democrats to the Senate, okay, in those runoffs. Get a brain. It was cheating. They cheated then because they were able to get away with their cheating in the presidential election in November. What do you think's going to happen in 2022? It's just going to be more cheating. They found out that they can get away with it on a massive scale. Yeah, there's been cheating before on a local grassroots level in very minor ways, but nothing like what we've seen this past election. So if you think that there's going to be some kind of Republican resurgence in 2022, you're kidding yourself. Here's what's going to happen. Either you're going to have a one-party state where it's just shitloads of Democrats, or they're going to try and maintain the illusion of some kind of balance by electing more rhinos. The fix is in. Either way, we'll be a one-party state. It'll only be a two-party state in name. Or names, meaning the Republicans, rhinos, and Democrats. But as time passes, there'll be ever more one party as the long-timers like Rand Paul get phased out. His father's already out of politics. And all those people, they'll eventually just retire. They'll keep a lot of the long-timer Republicans so you don't get too suspicious. Not that the majority of Americans are awake enough to even give a fuck. And eventually things will continue to transition until it's, overwhelmingly Democrat. They're changing things slowly, you understand. They can't do a big switch. They can't have like every Democrat that runs in 2022 winning. It's going to be slow and gradual, and whatever Republicans do get voted into office, there'll be very few of them that are real Republicans. The Democrats are talking about taking away the ability of Republicans to have bank accounts. Cancel culture at its finest. Biden wants to stop the wall, says Sebastian. I thought walls don't work, so what does he fear? These are symbolic acts, you understand, a lot of them. The whole thing about wanting to make all the illegal aliens in the country right now into citizens, it's not going to fly, all right? He knows it. It's symbolic. As for the wall, you got to keep the cheap labor coming in, got to keep the big corporations that Biden works for happy. Says in some states, the states have talked about wearing 2 masks, one in cloth and one 95 mask. Sebastian G., you have to give your guards some cigarettes. That's how it works in prisons. Oh, jeez. I think they only drive through at night. It's not a 24/7 security guard. My property hired like a guard to drive through at certain times at night, but it's not a permanent guard. I actually wish it was. For most cases, because then I wouldn't have all this these low-class people loitering outside making tons of noise. Says Joe Biden will do what he wants. In 2024, a new Democrat will be president. Very likely, yes. Of course. Or a rhino. Sebastian G., what's the next? 3 masks? It's like they want you to die by suffocation. They want to slowly over time get you used to these kind of infringements upon your personal space, your privacy, your bodily autonomy. They're boiling the frog slowly to get him used to the heat. Says that then by 2030, America will be Venezuela. 2030. I don't know about by 2030. Maybe by 2040, we'll be approaching that. Again, Americans started off with a much higher level of freedom and privacy and bodily autonomy. So it's going to take a while to degrade that. Sebastian G., Trump has to start his own party and replace the Republicans. Wouldn't that be nice? Says that I've seen articles about the inflation going to hyper levels soon. It might. It very well might. And that's when, of course, Bitcoin will start to, go up in value. They're going to attack Bitcoin. Then it'll go down in value. But, of course, if you get hyperinflation, and the money becomes worth less, then it'll cost more of it to get Bitcoin. So you might not want to wait until it reaches super low levels. It might not reach 10,000 before hyperinflation kicks in. Sebastian G., now that the USA is under Chinese control, the EU will be next. Yeah, China. So here's what happened, okay? Initially, the government regulations and policies that are in place that stifle entrepreneurship in America to such an extent that American corporations go overseas because it's cheaper. At first, that just started as politicians trying to curry favor with their voter base. That's what all this shit's about, right? They always want to find new causes that they can latch on to the then passed laws that make them look favorable in the eyes of the public. Of course, this is just a lot of sophistry. It's a lot of feel-good nonsense. If you look below the surface, most of these laws either do nothing or they do harm, like the minimum wage, right? Sounds good, doesn't it? We'll pay everybody $15 an hour. Let's make it. Biden wants to pass a mandatory $15 an hour countrywide. I don't even know that he can do that. I don't think he has that authority. I mean, I think that'll be challenged in court. Okay, but you think, oh wow, that's great, right? $15 an hour. Ooh, people are going to be doing well. No, what's going to happen is the people who don't have the human capital to generate 15 or more dollars an hour. In fact, they're going to have enough human capital to generate more than $15 an hour in value. What they're going to get tossed to the curb. They'll be fired. The people who do generate more than that, they'll be kept on, but limited hours. What the employers are going to do, they'll fire their least productive people, the people with the least human capital, which means those people will have the hardest time finding new jobs. And then they'll keep on the most productive people, the ones they really, really need and who actually generate more than that 15, but they'll reduce their hours so that they have to pay less benefits, and at the same time they'll hire more people. And the people who are, they'll end up making exactly what they did before or less. Oh, you'll be making more. No, your hours will get cut. They got to balance the fucking checkbook. They can't pay more than they're taking in. It's just that people don't think about these things. That's how the politicians work. And as they layer on these regulations and laws, what happens? The corporations go overseas. Now they're passing laws and regulations to make them go overseas because a lot of these politicians are getting kickbacks from Chinese officials via their family members or secret offshore accounts or hand-delivered parcels that are all big blocks of cash that they hide under their bed. And so, now the goal is to send those jobs overseas, where before it was just to placate the voter, which used to be majority white, so they were very productive people and wanted to be so because they wanted their freedom. Now a lot of the voting base is black and brown people who love welfare, and a lot of them are illegal aliens, so they'll work for peanuts and get welfare at the same time because there's no record of their income as they're getting paid under the table. So they want to be able to undercut the American. And of course, the local businessman is incentivized to hire really, really cheap labor. He can't afford an American, so he's either got to go overseas or he's got to pay somebody under the table. So where it used to be a tactic to all these regulations and laws that supposedly were good for the worker were a tactic to get votes, now they're a tactic to get money from those countries that we're sending our labor to. Says that the federal government might start to attack Bitcoin if the bankers see their fiat currency threatened. They might. In fact, I've heard word that they probably will, but I mean, good luck. You really can't. It's a private currency. They can't. I mean, what are they going to do? It gets sent across the internet. You can't really. Oh man. Flossie will bring in the machines. Flossie will add. Then more people on welfare assistance. But the federal and Supreme Court are corrupt. Yeah. I know. Sisseth, I think the Democrats have total power to push as much as possible for total power. Well, you just said they already have total power. Why would they need to push for it? Flossie, well, Sith, you got to start paying better attention to what you write. Flossie, well, the country is headed for $20 loaves of bread, $30 a gallon milk. Yep. Oh, I foresee a tax on Bitcoin. They'll largely be ineffective. Now, the federal government might try to ban it. I mean, good luck. How are you going to do that? I don't think you can. How can you track it? That's ridiculous. They might try, which will initially affect the value, but they'll fail. Says that the line in which the Republicans will react will come when the Democrats begin to kill Americans for being American. Flossie, Mr. Philosopher, do you think one day we'll be cashless? Sure. That's what the global elites are pushing for. Then they don't have to print money anymore. See, that's their one roadblock in their plans. Okay? They want to cash the society so that they can control everybody. You'll have like a cash system like in the Star Wars universe, like everything's a credit or something. And on paper, it might be called the local currency, but it's all just zeros and ones on a piece of paper. And then they can just type in whatever amount they want. And nobody has cash anymore. So if you don't have cash, when you have cash, they don't know how much you've got, right? And they can't control it. So you have autonomy. You have a certain level of freedom. But if you're living in a digital society where all the money is ones and zeros on a computer that they control, well, then they control you. And if you don't step in line, you step out of line, well, all your ones and zeros disappear, you see. That's why they don't like Bitcoin. That's why all these idiots out there, like these gold dudes, like there was that Adam Schiff, Peter Schiff. What's that guy's name? Peter Schiff. I don't remember his name exactly. That might be Peter Schiff. The gold seller dude trying to play up gold and talk about how Bitcoin is bad. No, he just wants people to buy more gold. Bitcoin's great. Are you kidding? Oh, well, it don't have intrinsic value. I got news for you. Neither does gold. All value is subjective. Nothing has intrinsic value, okay? All value judgments are subjective. If I'm thirsty, that fucking glass of water, if I'm dying of thirst, that glass of water is worth $1 billion to me. Okay? And that lump of gold is worth zero. They're all subjective value judgments. All value judgments are subjective. There is no intrinsic value in anything, okay? Sith, could the Democrats begin to round up Republicans and gulags? Someday, not today. The water hasn't been brought up to that high a boil yet. The frog is not realizing yet that he's in hot water. It'll get that way eventually. This is all just a trial run, you understand. All this cancel culture bullshit. I talked about this before. I mean, it's just a trial run. We're headed in that direction, and we will eventually get there. They won't call them gulags. They'll call them re-education camps or something like that. Oh, we'll eventually reach there. We're right on that course right now. Absolutely. I can't say when. 20 years, maybe? 20 years we'll probably be at the point where we'll have re-education camps. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And then people will just start disappearing. Says, by the way, a new platform for video streaming named Trovo has opened. Oh, let's check that out. I tried Rumble, but I can't get it to work. I've been trying to upload videos to Rumble. Now, maybe it's something to do with maybe somebody out there can help me and tell me what I'm doing wrong. Maybe it has to do with my formatting. I'm not sure. But every time I try to upload a video to Rumble, it just says error, and I can't. So I'll check out Trovo. Thank you, yeah. Sebastian G. Just go to the store. They scan your implanted RFID chip. Based on your social credit score, you might get a beer, but only if you behave. Right. Oh, yeah. Well, once they control all the currency. You see, once everything's digital, then there is a social credit score, a social worthiness score attached to you. I mean, now you can just spend cash. It's anonymous. They don't want that. They can't control you very easily if you have cash. But if it's all digital, you have no alternatives. DC Price is in the room. Hello, DC Price. All value judgments are subjective. In regards to the value of objective things, absolutely. Or subjective things, or things that are services, absolutely. I'm not talking about actual values like, virtue and such. I'm talking about monetary value, since so many people seem hell-bent on misinterpreting what I have to say. I'll be as clear and concise as possible. I'm talking about value judgments in terms of economics. All right, seems like we got enough people here. So I think I'll get to the first story. Let me open up. Yeah, I got to open up my... This is show 220. Calling show 220, searching. There we go. All right. Slow as hell. Jesus. Okay. Some interesting stories. Sith, what can we do if they force us to be chipped to prove we took the vaccine? Well, they can't do that in America yet. They probably will be able to eventually. They'll find some way around the Constitution once they get enough power. That being the left, the Democrats. But in your neck of the woods, whether force us to be chipped to prove we took the vaccine. Well, would that chip have your money on it too? I don't know what you do, Sith. You resist? I'm sure a lot of French people would resist. The yellow, what are the yellow shirts, the yellow jackets, what were they? The yellow vests would go nuts and riot in the street. I mean, eventually that'll happen at differing times in different countries, depending on their laws and how successfully the leftists have destroyed your country's freedoms and the public's resistance to such authoritarian rule. You fight back, literally fight back with literal violence. Oh, this is the one thing that annoys me. You got all these idiots in the media, all the obviously controlled oppositions. Your Tommy Lahren, who hates men. Your Ben Shapiro, who is a never-Trumper and is clear controlled opposition. Your bobblehead Charlie Kirk motherfucker. All these people. Oh, don't be violent. Fight war with peace. Okay, no, you don't. That's not how the world works, yo. You have to actually fight back. Like literal fight, like violence. Somebody comes to chip you, of course, I mean, if it gets to that point, you're fucked, right? I mean, if people voted in this shit, I mean, look, if it reaches a point where the majority of the population has voted into office to represent them, people who are then able to pass these kind of laws without any real pushback from the court system, by that point, you're already fucked. You can fight, but how many people are actually going to fight at that point? Is it going to be enough to make a difference? I don't know. Kind of doubt it. Sebastian G. Buy a chip on the black market. I don't know. Sisseth, I prefer to die than be a slave. Yeah, no principles if we have to fight back. Yeah, well, I think I understand what you're saying. Yeah, preaching nonviolence and pacifism is nice and all that, but it doesn't work in reality beyond a certain point. People are like, well, look at what Gandhi did in India. He got the British thrown out. Let me explain something to you. The British were already on their way out, okay? They'd lost massive amounts of money in India. Maintaining an empire costs a lot. The infrastructure, the bureaucracy. At the same time, India was a very poor country. The little money they were getting out of there wasn't really enough. So they were already incentivized to leave, okay? And they put up a token effort because they wanted to maintain their empire. But one incident of killing a whole bunch of protesters, and that was it. It ruined their public image worldwide, and then they got the fuck out, which they were already incentivized to do, okay? They were an occupying force in a foreign country. This is not the same case here. You're talking about your own government. They're not going anywhere. And they're not going to let you have freedom because you laid down in front of a tank. That didn't work so well in Tiananmen Square, did it? No, they ran the guy over. And Biden's already going after the NRA. He's going, I'm going to war with the NRA. Murr. Yeah. You're not going to win this war with pacifism, and it's eventually going to reach a point where it's going to require violence. If you don't think that's the case, you're an idiot. We're already past the point of no return. You're not going to be able to solve these problems with non-violent protests. You can protest all day long. I mean, it might have made a difference a while back, but not now. Even if it would make a difference now, how many conservatives are out there protesting? Nobody. They just tried to protest in the Capitol and they got shot. That was not a riot. That's total BS propaganda from the media. There was no riot. They invited the people in. There was no violence. I just saw some videos recently of the dude dressed up like some Viking with horns on his head and the American flag on that spear. He's walking around and, inside the Capitol. It's all peaceful and calm. There was no attempted insurrection. There was no riot. That's all a complete and total lie just to try and make Trump look bad, okay? It didn't happen. But look what happened. They got shot. So 2 people suicided themselves. 1 woman got shot in the throat. I don't remember what happened to the 4th dude. He might have fallen off a balcony or some shit. I don't know. But the point is, they'll kill you if you're a conservative and you're trying to protest the encroaching power and size of government. Now, if you're protesting for encroaching size and power of government like BLM and Antifa, well, they'll fucking love you. If Antifa talking about how they're fucking anarchists, no. They're anarchists for like 2 seconds. Yeah, they want the system to collapse into anarchy and then to be rebuilt as a communist system, which is like the most powerful, the biggest, most centralized government on the fucking planet. The Antifa are all big government. Same with BLM. So they'll let you riot. But not if you're a conservative against the system. Sebastian G., that video is great, like in a museum with a guided tour. Yeah, there was no fucking riot in D.C. That's all a lie. It's all propaganda. We're living in communist China now, or communist Russia. The Democrats control the media. The rhinos control the media. Look at Fox News. That's just a controlled opposition news source set up to make Republicans and conservatives feel like they have some kind of voice. They really don't. Look at how they went after Trump. Look at how Fox went after Trump. They're not conservative or Republican. Tucker Carlson is a sellout shill, okay?